and let the session, as the name goes, it's a portfolio review session. We'll be going through some portfolios, give some of our input about what we like, what we didn't like, what can be improved, and things like that. And that's the whole goal of the session. And for this, with me, I have Manoj. We are both mentors on ADP and Top Mint platforms, and we are part of a Design Plus community, which is focused on this, growing together as designers. Not a bit focused on the UI UX side, but also other panels like my focus is branding, for example. Manoj is the lead UI designer, and let Manoj introduce himself a bit. Then I'll follow with my introduction a bit, and then we'll jump into the portfolios. Manoj, the stage is yours.
Yeah. Hi, myself Manu. I have like overall of 7 years of experience in the industry, and I worked as a lead UI designer in Diva Media Labs, and I'm currently lead UI designer at Red Better in Bangalore. I have also mentored around 120 people in ADP list for last 2 years. That's my journey so far. You can go ahead, Aditya.
Hey, I am Aditya, and I also have a close experience. Like I'm also close to 8 years in the industry now, which is similar to Manoj. And my core focus is on the branding side. I have a tiny branding studio called XAXs Corps, which I founded, and I'm focused on the branding side into it. And branding being multidisciplinary the way I like it, I also do quite a few other stuff as well. And we that is all we need to share at the moment. Let's jump into the portfolios. Uh, let's move with the first one. Firstly, one thing about the portfolio this time is that all of them are on some specific platform, not Behance and other popular sites.
Yeah.
Nothing against them, by the way. They are also cool, but whenever possible, it's better to have some platform of your own. And so far, all the three are platforms of their own. So pretty good job on that. The first one is from Saranya, product design. Nice.
No, it's a click through ring. Notion can embed Figma links. It's a preview of it. That's why it looks like
Yeah. Uh, this uh, this is some a little thing about both
that. Yeah,
all the artboard based applications
yeah,
applicable to both Figma and Illustrator. Like if you have tiny something far away from the artboard, the preview kind of holds that, and the main thing becomes tiny. But so
yeah. So this can be avoided when we set thumbnails for each Figma field. So we'll
yeah,
take the thumbnail as a preview here.
correct. Okay. Okay. Uh, okay. We have glanced through it. Manu, do you want to start?
Yeah, I end up like when I saw the portfolio for the first time, I like the banner how she had made. Like it shows her other extra skills as well, where she doesn't have to explain. And the banner looks quite interesting with all kind of illustration and then paintings, whatever she made. And I like the way she kind of tried introducing herself with the picture, where it kind of creates a personal connection between the one who is reviewing the portfolio. And then if you scroll down, the thumbnails on something if she needs to rework on. It looks very
Yeah.
crowded and then too much of information on the thumbnail. So I'm not able to focus on one thing. Like I'm reading the first thing and then I directly go to the second one without finishing the reading thumbnail. And then it's not really linked properly. So the first card doesn't have any link. When you click on it, it opens up the thumbnail image. Other things redirect to a portfolio details page. That is
Yes.
something I've noticed.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
even the
Guess
thumbnail
one of
art,
them is missing.
yeah, thumbnail artwork needs to be reworked on, and the chips which she is having where the tags, it's not like readable on all the cards, all the thumbnails. It has low contrast. The third one, beat my squad has a low contrast tags, so it becomes very hard to read on the thumbnail. Again, where she has a overview on the her work experience on the left side, that is kind of getting lost. I know it's a notion we can't do much thing, but where if there is possible to a better way, it will highlight a work experience more than like right now it's kind of getting lost. And it goes a very long list, so it is very hard to follow up the experience list as well.
Yep. That's true. That is true.
Yeah,
Uh, okay. Okay, let's go one by one. Let's start with the homepage. And I also like the top banner. And since you have already pointed out what is right about it, I'll point out some tiny thing that is wrong about it, which is this weird padding. I think I have never created a site using Motion, but I have worked on Notion docs, so I'm pretty sure you can uh, even out the padding. Like I think there are ways of adjusting the crop of the image, the amount of crop you are putting, and instead of filling it or putting it as tile, you can put it as a. I think fill is the option you have where it covers the space, and then you can adjust the crop height so that the image is end to end. The other problem might be that the image you exported has this weird padding, so that is being taken up by Notion. It's a tiny thing, but in this otherwise pretty well done banner, that's becoming a thing that it's hurting it a bit. So if the banner is otherwise good, it's a pretty tiny thing that you can fix. There is another miss at the end, which is I think you have missed this for some reason. It's just a tiny thing. I'm sure you just accidentally missed it, but if you if there this can be a result of two possibilities. Either you have thought about putting a footer and did not complete that, also fine, or you might have uh, kept a heading that you accidentally started and then did not move it out. If it is the first, just move it out. It's a very 1 minute fix. And if it's the second, then don't leave it like that. Keep it empty until you have completed the footer. Put the footer part only after you have completed the footer, not with that blank space of heading one. This is a and I like that the experience is listed on the site so that we don't have to scroll a lot to reach the experience. But as Manu pointed out, uh, going through the entire experience needs quite a bit of scroll. I don't know if Notion allows that, but try putting two separate columns so that these can scroll independently. I'm not sure if that is possible. If that is possible, that is something you can look into. Or if that is not possible, try consider a section like that where you can divide them into columns so that the scroll is
I
reduced.
would recommend to go with the learning and exploration layout of what she made. It's a horizontal thing, so it kind of works, and it kind of
Yeah,
it is easy to track also like the overall experience. And nowhere she mentioned her overall experience. I have to count based on the timeline she mentioned in the experience. So it's little hard to count calculate the overall experience.
yeah, that's also true.
And even
That's
the
also true.
second experience like V Labs, the logo is kind of getting lost in the dark theme. If, instead of
Yeah,
using a
yeah, yeah.
PNG image, if
That's
she
correct.
can use an image with background.
Yes, yes. I That's also something I would have mentioned, but thanks for
Yeah.
pointing that out. You have to be aware about the background that you're putting out. See, you are a product designer, so this site, the designing aspect of this portfolio site, kind of directly falls under your capabilities. Hence, for you, getting these kind of things right has a lot of value in it. What I mean by that is, let's say it was a portfolio of a print designer, just per se. Then the person going through the portfolio would be a lot more lenient about the website of it because you're not claiming that to be your capability. But since you are a product designer, being able to design for web kind of directly falls under your capabilities. So in that case, mistakes like that hurt the impression a bit more than it would otherwise. So these tiny things matter. I like that it's a bit different. It has the personal touches. So there's a lot that is being done right, but these tiny things also matter. And coming to the thumbnails that Manu has already pointed out, the thumbnail doesn't need to have these chips. Notion allows you to have chips separately. The styling might not be as capable as you are doing here, but it will be still comparable enough that you can create one block where these and these can be separate text instead of being put directly in the image, while the image can be some kind of screen from your project. uh, Similar how Behance does it, to be honest, and Drivel as well. And if we go into the website, so see, these can be a much better thumbnail than having the entire text out there. This tells you what you don't have to put the entire thing if it doesn't fit, because it's a thumbnail. The person who is interested into the case study will click into it, but the thumbnail should give a glimpse that would make someone want to click it, which the current thumbnails don't. I feel that's a bigger issue. And I like the how the case study is arranged. It goes through everything someone needs to go through firsthand. Like if I want, I can read through them properly. If I don't, I can just skip through them. I know that okay, you have gone through the checklist that a product designer would need to. So that gives a good impression. But when I the information architecture is also done pretty well. This whole user flow is also represented pretty well. This is done well. But once again, this doesn't look good, by the way. The contrast with the of the content with the background is way too less. Maybe choose a different background color. That should fix it. Because this white, the neomorphism elements is has is almost mixing with the background, and the background is just a background you have to put the thing on. It's not a brand color thing. So maybe you can use a darker background and put the text in white so that the contrast is optimal. This is good. And this is something that we both have a problem with, because this doesn't tell anything. And if you are sharing the Figma link, it's better to share the prototype link. That
No, even when we share prototype link, it will generate a preview of the Figma file. It's better to
it
have
will.
thumbnails for the. It's better to have thumbnail for the Figma file. Though
Achha.
we share prototype link, it kind of generates the preview like this.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, I use the same Notion case studies, and I integrate Figma link like that. So
Okay.
it kind of doing the same thing.
Sure.
And also one more thing, when I was doing my research for my job search, I read somewhere it was written on LinkedIn by some HR. They directly reject the Notion links if they don't have a proper portfolio website. So try avoiding these prototype. Notion links as you put.
Is
It was
that so?
upfront. Yeah, it was written by it was on HR post. I forgot to save it, but she mentioned that I upfront reject people with Google Drive links, Notion links as their portfolio and PPTs, so they directly kind of rejected.
Huh. That's a bit surprising because I
Yeah,
have never found that to be an issue. Like whenever I
yeah.
have gone through a
Even
hiring
I,
process, like when I am hiring someone for any,
yeah,
like for me or someone, that has never
yeah,
bothered me, to be honest. Like even uh, Behance links or links like that has did never bothered me. Even it has never affected me as well so
yeah,
far. But okay. I know it
uh,
does act as a differentiator, like having a proper site setup does help
yeah.
you stand apart from others that don't. But
So even people
being
who do
rejected
Notion
apart, that
sites,
has never.
they will be good at documenting stuff. So some way it is beneficial, some way it's not. So it is better to not have Notion sites. It's not my opinion. It's by some one of the HR who posted on LinkedIn.
Okay. I do take content like that from LinkedIn with a little bit grain of salt, because very
Yeah.
often it's people put out things that are not
No,
very
right now
practical, but
the market has become very competitive. Like if you have to
that
go
it
through
has.
something, so it is better to take a little serious as well. When like even the job search or finding a job becomes very hard. Like with the ATS coming to the picture, it kind of becomes very hard to get the shortlisted to first round.
That it does. That is true.
Yeah.
I will disagree with that. It's straight up gets you rejected, but I will agree that putting a little more effort so that you're
No,
doing
I didn't
something
say
that helps
ATS will
stand
get you
out
rejected. It
does
won't
help.
get you shortlisted. I didn't say
Hmm.
ATS will get you rejected. It makes the process more easier for the HRs to shortlist a profile where they
Ah,
don't even get to see a resume or a
ha,
profile.
ha. Got it.
So
Oh,
it kind of avoids it kind of puts us a reject. You'll get only automated response saying that we have gone through someone who is closer with the
got it.
skill set we are looking for. Though you might have skills, it not been reflected in your resume, so it kind of becomes hard to shortlist,
Hmm.
and it is very hard to customize a resume for each and every job we apply. So it's better to have some ATS friendly resume with most of the keywords in the resume. And
That's a valid
Chat
point.
GPT. We have Chat GPT to write for us, so you can utilize a tool instead of instead of breaking our heads every time. We can utilize a tool which are available for us.
Hmm. That's true. Although I am a
Yeah,
bit reluctant about using things like ChatGPT. I have personally never used it yet. I understand it has like they have their
yeah,
benefits. I'm not completely against someone using it. I just have issue with someone being completely reliant on tools like that.
yeah.
But
You don't have to
this
like you
project
can.
is good. This project is good, but I have an issue with putting it here like that because I
And
only
I have
clicked
issue
because
with
I
the
was curious.
organization of the file. It's kind of everywhere. If somebody newly joins the project and want to work on it, they'll find little hard to work, find something. There is no proper organization on the file structure.
That that's true. That is true. I feel that might not be a big problem for this specific project because I feel like this exists in a silo, not as part of some bigger project. So one might be able to get away with it. But
No,
yeah, if you are putting it like
no,
that,
it
and
becomes a pattern if there's something goes like it becomes a habit for them not organizing the files. So it'll end up being the same for all the projects as well. I'm not judging anyone here, but I've
uh,
seen people doing the same thing. I worked with like around 8 to 10 designers closely, and then mentor around 120 people. It becomes their habit when they start don't do all those things.
that is true. That is true. And the other thing is, if you're directly linking up the Figma file, and see, an HR will not click on the Figma file. Firstly, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
The person who will click on your Figma file is the person, maybe your senior or maybe some the hiring manager with this skill set. So this won't come in the first or second round. This will only come after you have the shortlisted. And someone who you will potentially be working under, seeing this and looking at that it's not organized, then it's a problem. Like for a HR going through it, they probably won't even notice that it's not organized. But then again, they will also not click on this. They will
so
no way
again,
click on this.
once the profile is shortlisted, a hiring manager who is going to review the profile is going to be a designer, and they'll
Yes.
have their own set of working style. They'll try to see if they work like based on this only. They kind of judge should we go with this person or not. Even for the interview round with the hiring designer, you'll have to make sure all the things are clear from our end itself.
Yeah, totally. So if you're firstly direct up linking the Figma file is not ideal, and if you are doing that to showcase your work, then you should make sure that it looks clean after someone opens it.
Yeah, it's
Similar
better
to
to
how
have a
we should have the
it's better
Photoshop
to have
layers arranged properly. It's a similar concept.
Yeah, it's better to have a product link than instead of showing the open canvas link if you're going to share the Figma link as your portfolio link. So
Yes,
there it becomes easy. You won't even if your file is organized, you won't able to see the file structure or anything. You will only see the prototype. You will only see the work which you have to highlight. So it is better to have something like that instead of showing it like this.
yes, I agree, and that's pretty easy to do. Just click
Yeah,
on this prototype view, and here you like I cannot share it because this is not my project, but here you will get an option to share the link. Similarly, how I've linked this, you'll also get an option to link the prototype. And if you haven't built a prototype, which is also fine, not all UI UX projects require prototyping. Uh, but if you haven't built a prototype, just put up the thumbnails in an organized way, similar to how we
yeah.
have done here, uh, but with a little more pointing out what is what and things like that. This is a bad way to put it. And the thing is, everything else is organized well, except this background color. This is organized very well. This is organized well. This is organized well. Once again, the background color is bugging me a bit, but overall it's fine. This whole typesetting is done well. You have divided stuff into various
Like the
layouts.
sectioning and the overall case study structure is good.
Yes, but the end result, which is the thing you are primarily selling, which is your ability to create this, the main thing that's being represented very poorly. Although when I look into it, I know that the screens are done well. Like this whole flow is
Yeah,
done
this
pretty
is
well.
something which I've
But
noticed with all
I'm
the
not looking it. I'm looking at this, and this is not serving anything. I
yeah.
clicked because I was curious, but 90% of the people won't click it, and that's a big issue. So this needs to be fixed very importantly.
So
The
even the
other
IA which has been added, information architecture, like when you click on it, kind of reviews the image. Like it's better to have.
oh,
Like,
acha, acha, right. Yeah. Why this is completely unnecessary? It can simply be an PNG or
yeah,
JPEG.
no. she has given the Figma link only. It is opening only when you click on the name. When you click on the preview image, it kind of opens only the image. So to avoid PNG mistakes, create a section for the overall IA structure and then add background color so it won't repeat. It won't have the PNG. It won't give you the transparent image in the preview. And even your background is also like the overall theme is in dark theme,
Acha, okay. Got it.
so it won't affect.
Yup, yup, that's a valid point. But unless it's something that the viewer will be interacting with, for example, a prototype maybe, uh, adding the Figma link directly is very unnecessary and rather complicates thing. If I were to open up in a slow internet, this will take a lot longer to load than this screenshot. And you can export this whole panel from Figma as a PNG. Just click on the
Mm.
whole thing and you'll get an option to export link. And like, I don't need to tell you because you have exported this as a PNG. The similar concept applies here. This
And
doesn't
even
need to be
the
a Figma file.
file is not open like it requests for access. So if you're going
It
to
is.
put it a link, yeah, yeah, you're going to add Figma link, try to give it a give
Yeah.
so that
Figma
they
link
can.
is in 90% of the cases is unnecessary and overcomplicates things. It's useful when it is a prototype, but other than that,
Yeah,
it's it's completely unnecessary. It rather loads up the pages and makes them much heavier, and it's not ideal. If you have a prototype, add the prototype link. Otherwise, just export things as PNG, JPEG, or GIF and put those instead. They are a lot more scalable. But I now realized why the LinkedIn post was talking about Google Drive and Notion links because they are usually treated as documents. I mean, Notion
yeah.
can be a site, but usually Notion is used for documentation. Maybe that's why this automated rejection comes up. Like,
No, it's not automated. It's a HR who is rejecting those
yeah,
profile.
well,
It's not.
yes, but kind of automated. I mean,
Yeah, it's
the
kind of
HR is,
default.
yeah, the
Yeah,
HR was
yeah.
doing
Like
it.
she's not going to do. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's how this makes sense. That why
yeah.
specifically mention Google Drive and Notion because they're usually treated as documents. That might be the idea. That makes sense because she did not mention Behance or other platforms. So
Yeah.
it's not about having something personalized. It's more
So
about
people when
not
send
having
Google
something
Drive
that is
links, they
treated as
just add
document.
images. Yeah.
Uh,
People who send Google Drive links, no, they'll just directly put the images or the output images where you won't see this kind of problems. It will, like the explanation will be missing, and they won't able to uh, evaluate the person based on their design skills or how their ideation when they
hmm,
don't see all this documentation of design process.
hmm, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also there are two or three major things that needs to be corrected, but the other things are a bit minor, and the the project is good, but representation of that needs to be better. And the blogger, this feels wrong to me for some reason. Not for some reason, I know why. Because I don't know how much Blogger has evolved as a platform, but this old school style doesn't work much today.
Instead of
And
this, you can use Substack that it kind of has a very clean interface.
yeah,
Or you
Medium as
can
well.
go with
Medium is very good.
Medium. Medium is
Yeah,
also good.
and I don't know if Blogger allows customization. If it does, then I'll suggest testing that out a bit because this formatting looks pretty bad. Once again, like we are looking at you as a designer, so the aesthetics matter, even if it's a blogging site. That's the thing. If you were a writer, then I would have ignored the aesthetic and just do by what you have actually written. But you are presenting yourself as a product designer, so the first thing I look at is aesthetics. Then, I think
Yeah,
the
this way, like even the summary section of her, she has used to justify alignment where if you see the last line has
yes, yes,
lot of
yes.
space between, it's better to use left. It's recommended to use left alignment so that you won't have the breakpoints or spaces between words like that.
Yes, I agree. I agree. And other thing is, not all of it is justified.
Only the
Uh,
top section,
these are
only the
left aligned.
yeah,
No, no, the large paras are justified.
yeah, only the top section
These,
is
these.
justified. Others are left aligned.
No, these are also justified. It looks left aligned
Mm,
because most of the paras are small. But if you look at the large
yeah,
para, these are also justified. So this mixing doesn't work. Left align is a easy choice here.
it becomes right reader friendly.
Yeah, it becomes data friendly. Justified is mostly used in large publications, newspapers, for example, because they need to
So
look
when they have
good in
column,
that kind of structuring, but in a smaller text label, it's not ideal. Like unless you are reading a
yeah,
book, a magazine, a newspaper, Justified is not built for that. Justified is built for very large bodies of text, not this kind of formatting.
justifiers are
And
mostly used in column structure layout where
yes,
the information is broken into columns, which you
yes,
mostly see in newspaper.
yes, magazines as well.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes books might have justified or not. Sometimes they do,
Mm,
sometimes they don't. But
yeah,
the short form is that it's not a good
yeah.
formatting
Book
for
read.
resumes and small documentations.
Yes.
And I feel I have few more issues with this. I think the spacing feels a little odd, not just the justified factor. If you look at the line spacing, it's pretty a bit too wide and inconsistent. Uh, these have, I think, single line spacing. These feel like 1.5 line spacing. Then the hierarchy feels a bit forced. Design thinking, design co-admin. It's a bit confusing to read. Like these two might have different font sizes. They might not, but it looks like they have different font sizes due to the different font weight. The overall structuring is fine. Like the main information is put first. The skills and secondary skills and education is separated from experience so that I can glance through them easily. But in smaller labels, the formatting feels a bit wrong. There are way too many different font sizes. Uh, this has a weird flow. Like I'm reading from here to here, then here, then here, and the spacing feels a little odd. I feel this has been done in some kind of word formatting tool, which by
Yeah,
itself is
it's
not
better to
bad.
use. No, for ATS friendly, it is better to use Word documents, and I don't think there's a problem with the experience section where you're pointing out like Microsoft and the experience. It's better. It's a good layout for ATS reader. It kind of reads well, and it's a good format except the justify element. I don't see any other issues in the resume.
I have a little issue with the spacing and the number of different font styles. I
No,
feel it can be
it's just
streamlined a bit.
keyword highlights. So it's a keyword highlight, highlighting the keywords for the people to quickly scan through it.
Not the
And
bold.
no,
No, I'm not talking about these parts. I'm talking about these, for example. There are this tiny section has three different font sizes, font styles, and this spacing feels inconsistent with this spacing. I know I'm being a bit nitpicky here, but once
yeah,
again, like as a designer, these tiny things kind of add up. And
yes,
even Microsoft Word and Google, I feel this has been done in Microsoft Word. I have tried Google Docs. It formatting is very limited, so this is most probably done in Microsoft Word, which is cool. But these tiny things can be fixed directly in Microsoft Word. So Microsoft Word is quite capable, and these tiny things add up. And one more information is important, which is where you are based out of. You might not, you might work remotely, but someone looking at your resume, it's important to know where you are based out of. It's fine if you're okay to relocate. Like let's say you are based out of a city which might not be very attractive for a lot of recruiters. You For them, then you can point out that you are based out of this city, but you are happy to relocate, or but you are working remotely, but
So
the
it kind of helps you to
location
ask
kind
for
of
even
matters.
relocation budget as well. So when you add a location, it kind of adds multiple things. So they'll know you won't be, you have to relocate, and you will be mostly asking for remote. So it kind of gives them the pre-assumption that whether you'll be looking for a relocation budget or something, so they can plan your hiring, like your onboarding process more smoother.
Yes, yes. And plus, sometimes maybe someone is looking for uh, only work from office candidates. For them, not knowing where you are based out of might be a buzzkill, because they don't want to go and find out, and they
Yeah.
might just skip through that because they don't know where you're located, and they want someone working from office. So don't make the people guess things. Just point out the important things right in front. Uh, that's one important piece of information that is missing. But otherwise, information wise, I think this is good. I have a bit formatting issues with it, but the information structure is fine. I think. Anything else that you want to add, or should we move on to the next portfolio?
I don't have anything. I think she's here. If she has any questions, she can ask.
Oh, okay. She
Uh,
has in the chat. Thank
yeah.
you. Oh, okay. Yep. Our pleasure,
Yeah.
Saranya. So you're doing mostly fine, but there are some key elements that where you can improve, especially the Figma link thing. That is very important. That's something you should
Yeah.
work on first, and then you
Try
can
to
work on
have
the
thumbnails for your
dynamic side.
Figma files, so it'll avoid giving those empty blank spaces when it is kind of previewing in other platform. So, and try to use prototypes for your Figma links. Don't give the open Figma link, like where you see the open canvas.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Just reset
If
it.
I were a recruiter, would you hire Aditya? That was a question.
You should start first.
See, I won't have any problem with hiring. I have seen your portfolio. I'll have a initial task where it gives me more. It gives me a space to evaluate your skills based on the interview task which I get. And I don't think I will not reject anyone based on the portfolio. I'll try to have interaction with them. I'll try to have some task or something which I can based on that. It kind of helps me to understand what kind of skills you possess or how would you tackle thing. So based on that, I won't simply reject people based on their resume or portfolio. I'll see what kind of like there are people I like in my previous company. I've reviewed around 400 profiles, and I've rejected last lot of people's. I didn't I do not use the word reject, not selected them, so it becomes more comfortable. So I would not reject or it's like I don't know how to put it in nice way. Yeah, I would hire like it will be based on the interview rounds or the design task based on that, and I would not simply not select people based on the select people based on only the portfolio. It will help me to
Yep.
shortlist people to like should I give the interview task or not. So it's based only on that.
Yes, I completely agree with that. I'll just add another thing. Very often, when you are not shortlisted or not selected based on portfolio, it's usually not because you are bad. It's usually because someone aligns better. And in your case, no, your portfolio is not something that would not get you shortlisted. I'll say I most probably would shortlist it. You have a good work experience that is pretty impressive. The names are pretty impressive, so that will be very helpful for you. And the so no, you would not be rejected based on your portfolio, but there are a
Yeah,
few red flags that you need to work on, especially the Figma thing. That's the important red flag. The others are relatively minor, and this is also important. What is one thing that you would look in a potential candidate to shortlist them? This unfortunately doesn't have a go-to answer. It really
yeah.
depends
It
on
depends
the
on each
brand.
profile.
It
It
also
depends
depends
on
on the
each profile.
brand that you're applying to. You might be the
Yeah.
perfect match for one company, but not a perfect
Not
match
for
for
all
another
company.
company.
Each company has their own requirement, and then they have specific style of hiring people. So if I were the recruiter, if I have to hire you, I see you have multiple talents. Like you are not like only focusing on product design. You have illustration skill. I'll see where all you can fit into my hiring criteria. So the ideal potential candidate, like I have to shortlist. whatever you have is good. So based on that, I can shortlist. Like to hire, I'll see how you like the major points I look for candidate when I'm hiring is like how they're receiving the feedback. Are they open to feedback? Are they trying to? Are they willing to adapt to the feedback? Are they trying to reject like they're standing in based on what the decisions they've made? So based on those things, I look for like if they're open to feedback, I'll be happy to take them in my team. So that is something which help both the parties grow in terms of design. It's not like one person. It's not that I'm always right on something. You will be also right on something. I will also right on something. It's a both way. It works on both way. So it's better to have open feedback, like where you have flexibility enough to listen to the feedbacks and then react based on that. Don't be very strong on your decisions.
Yes, true. Uh, I'll I can give you a little vague answer because that will be because there's a few variables that changes a lot depending on what company you are talking saying this in context.
Yeah.
But two things are common for in almost all the context. Firstly, what is how close you got to match with the processor and culture of the company in context. So talent of course matters. Like I'm not gonna no one's gonna hire you if you can't do the job you're getting hired for. So that's the first thing, but I don't think that's an issue with you. The match thing is, as I mentioned that with the other question, which is you might be talented, but you might not be the right fit for one company. So that fit kind of matters. Where it's not your fault at all. It's not even the company's fault. It's just a bit of luck thing that how well you fit in and how well you match with one another. The second thing is what's your potential to grow. Whenever a company is hiring you, they are not hiring for, especially in full-time situations, uh, the company is not hiring you for one project. They're hiring you for a few years at least.
Yeah, it will
So
be a long term thing. You can't. It's just
yeah, yeah,
not for one project, which is like 3 to 6 months, or there is no short term hiring. If that is the case, they'll upfront say they are hiring only freelance designers. So if you're
yes, yes.
looking
That's the
for
difference between in-house
yeah,
and project-based hiring.
yeah.
So
So
the
if you're looking to stay for in a company for longer term, it's better to keep updating yourself with all the like right now there are a lot of AI tools which are coming in picture where it kind of does it. They said try to utilize them. It's not so it's better to utilize all the AI tools which are available, not to avoid them. Even if you
yeah, yeah,
don't,
yeah.
it's not. Again, nobody can learn everything to 100%. Like so, it's better to have the knowledge of high level on each tools which are available. So it doesn't. It'll help you to tackle all the problems which might come or which can come, which we don't see in future. But better to get adapt and be adaptable on every situation. Don't be rigid and say that I will stick to only this thing. I can do the thing. Be adaptable, open to feedback.
Yes, yes, true. So these are the two things that mostly matter when someone is
Yeah,
considering to hiring. Outside the skill thing, that is your ticket to entry. Without skill, you can't really get anywhere unless you
yeah,
are a very fresher and someone is hiring through the campus. That's the only case where skills are ignored a bit. But other than that, that's your first point of entry. And other than that, these two kind of matters. And I think we should move on to the
yeah,
next portfolio. Okay. The Yes. This is Azam Raza,
yeah.
and the menu is cool because I can see the CTS directly. But moving on. Oh, I recognize this. I have read some of them. These were shared
Yeah,
in our
yeah.
group.
So it is from UX, law of UX or law. UX or UX law. Somewhere you'll
Yeah,
see the same thumbnails.
yeah. These were shared in the WhatsApp group. So yeah, they were
Yeah.
pretty well written. Acha, okay, it's a single posting.
Huh.
Okay. Acha, okay, this is easy. Let me start. So this
Yeah.
is cool. The menu is pretty cool. Uh, not the best logo, but not that important in this case. And I have a little issue with some of the wordings of the CTA. This open to new opportunity does not feel like a CTA. And I almost thought it's a fake button, but it's not. It is linked to your email. So word it differently, like maybe contact or something that points out this is clickable and it leads to an email. A CTA button should point out what the button does. This open to opportunity does not convey anything. If it's a link to your email, then point it out in a way that people know that it's linked to your email. It can be contact me or let's talk or something that gives the idea that it's linked to an email. And don't use the exact same CTA right after one another. It's worded exactly same, like open to opportunity, open to new opportunity. Even if the CTA button does the same thing, word it a bit differently. That's fine. What project? Yeah. Don't I feel case study documents are not that ideal. Uh, it's okay not to have it directly on the website. That's completely fine. But link them to something live because people are a bit hesitant in downloading stuff. Even I am. Most people are. So
Yeah.
instead of download the case study, it can be check out the case study. If you don't want to put it out on your website directly, you can put it out on Behance and link the Behance case study. Or Dribble also has case study now. Choose your platform, but PDF is not that ideal. I'll test it out for like testing out set, but it's not that ideal. The case study structure needs to improve a little. Yeah, structurally it makes sense, but visually it doesn't. Especially if you are putting it out as a PDF where you have a absolute control over the visuals, this can look much better. Even if the design itself, the code design is good enough, but the visualization of the case study is not. The arrangement, yeah, a lot can be done better here. The case study structure needs to improve. The words and the sequencing is fine. This is a bit distracting, by the way. This is fine. This overview is fine, but it looks very plain, especially considering you put it on a PDF where you designed it in a design application where you have all the tools to design it the way you want to, and still it looks plain. That doesn't give a good impression. But let's complete the this first. I like the structuring of the page. It's fine. And this whole illustrations that you've done, these are pretty cool. And you have maintained the style overall. That's pretty well done. The typography and structure is also well done. This whole skill set where all the illustrations are maybe either done personally by you or done taken from one single set, which makes it very homogeneous. That's pretty cool. This tool section is cool. This is cool. And also I have read, I think I have read all the three. So the documents, not the documents, the articles are also pretty good. And I feel try to put uh, one one photo of you beside all these illustrations which are good. I'll suggest putting at least one photo of you so that people knows how you look like. Not because not exactly to know how you look, but just build a bit trust to know that the person they're talking to is actual living human. uh, that builds a little bit of trust. I understand that you are maintaining this whole illustration style, and that, as I said, it's pretty well done. But one photo somewhere maybe at the end uh, would be a good addition. And the overall homepage is pretty good, except uh, this linking thing. Oh yeah, there is no experience. I just realized you haven't put out your experience at all. If you are looking for full-time jobs, then the experience point is very important. If you're trying to be hired on project basis as a freelancer or as a consultant, you might get away without pointing it out. But either way, uh, your work experience is an important part of your portfolio. That's not something you should skip. Your location as well. You haven't put your location either. These are two very important points that you haven't put. I should have noticed it earlier. The case study has a lot of problems, but let Mano go through the portfolio first. Mano,
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I had some tech issues. I dropped off and joined back. And okay, so I kind of like the overall site,
Sam.
but instead of using illustration as yourself, I will recommend to use your own picture. So it kind of creates a personal connect between you and the person who is reviewing. Yeah, it kind of showcase your skill upfront that you can do illustrations. But in terms of portfolios or something where I get to see the designer or I get to connect with the designer without even talking to him, without even being in touch with her, without even having a communication. So it's better to have picture of your own. So it kind of helps you create some kind of emotional connect through portfolio instead of even you going introducing yourself. So it kind of if they really like your work, even it kind of creates connection. Like it will spark the it kind of creates a muscle memory in them where they'll easily connect with you when they see something related to your working style. So it'll be always on their mind, or it'll be registered in their subconscious mind when they see something related or closer to your work, so they'll able to recognize your work. And the other thing was the font you have used on the for the titles. I think can you scroll down, you're there. Like on the work page where you have the project title, hiring dashboard, it kind of becomes little hard to read in the smaller size where the same part you used on the big titles, it is more legible, but here it becomes little hard to read in the
That's
the small sizes. And don't give download the case study. You can rename it to view case study or read more about, know more about the project or something.
yeah. Something I also pointed out. And uh, PDFs are not good for
Yeah.
case studies. Like for a resume, it's fine. I think this is also a document.
So the reason we are
Wait, why is it
trying,
Google Doc?
and if you scroll down, you'll have an empty page in the bottom.
Oh, sorry.
Now, if you scroll down the resume, you'll have an empty page in the bottom. So try avoiding removing all the
Oh,
spaces
right.
from the second page.
Yeah.
So people might
Ah,
think
right.
you don't. So people might think that you're not detail, like you're not detail oriented. You just do the task on a high level.
And plus, don't put resume as a Word document
Yeah,
because
download it as a PDF and then upload it.
yeah, exactly. If you don't know how to, just go to File, download, and get a PDF option.
Download.
PDF, yeah,
Yeah,
you can do that. And if this is coming extra, just you might have some white lines at the
additional
end. Go through,
spaces.
yeah, just go
Yeah,
through deleting everything. Not everything. I mean, like from the last line.
from the second page, from the empty page, if you start looking backspace, it will clear out the page.
Yeah, exactly. And those are two main things. Otherwise, I think this formatting is fine.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's fine.
and
Well, yeah. Here you have mentioned your location. So this will
if you go to
scroll.
the case study for the hiring
Yes.
dashboard,
See,
yeah,
I need to point out something. You look at the formatting of your case study and look at the formatting of your resume. This very plain Word document looks better formatted than this uh, document developed in a design software, and that's very important point here. How come? Firstly, this looking good is good, but this looking more plain than this just text document is a very bad impression. And yeah,
yeah. So my concern where he's kind of talking about the dashboard, can you scroll down to the UI design overview section where he shows And next to this, scroll down, scroll down. Can you stop here? So he is trying to talk about some of the KPIs on the dashboard. It is better to highlight them since you're going to. It looks like a product design case study. If you're going on a specific feature based explanation, it's better to highlight them instead of putting the overall image. It's better to highlight them. So you're talking only about
Yeah,
total open position, average time to fill. These are some KPIs you have worked on this for this dashboard. So it is better to highlight them instead of showing only the overall dashboard. So it's a little hard to connect with your explanation and the dashboard design which you're showing. And if you
yes,
scroll down, it is the same thing.
yes. And this
Yeah,
whole, some parts where you have divided half of the page for the text and half of the page for the dashboard, and then it immediately breaks down into the entire page divided for two screenshots of the dashboard. This whole formatting looks pretty poorly done, and like to the extent that it's hard to ignore. Like it's not a tiny thing. The formatting needs to improve quite a bit. And let me show you an example of what Manoj was saying. So this looks, yeah, something like this. Malab, not specifically
yeah,
this. This has a
yeah,
different
something
purpose,
like that.
but
Something like that. What are they showing? That it kind of you can elevate your card and then showcase what which KPI you're talking about, and you can even point out.
yeah. So it's like
So if you're going to present a case study like this, it is better to do it in Figma and have it as a prototype link. So sometimes PDF tend to load slower than the Figma link. So you're making the design manager to wait for the portfolio to load. That kind of becomes an issue that they won't have much time. Now, not all the design managers are patient enough to wait for the file to load and then see.
I'll show you an example of doing this thing better a little later. But for now, I think we can move on to the next. Or let me see if we have any questions.
Yeah, we'll go for Q&A and I'll just see if I can show something from my note. Most of my notes are NDA, which I'll try to remove something and then show.
Huh.
Do you have any questions?
Not Acha, here it is. Yep, our pleasure, Azam. And one thing I want to do. Yeah.
You wanted to read
Any books that
books?
you recommend? Or
I
let me
have been
choose.
just give me a moment. I'm reading something recently. It's a design book. I'll just find the title of it. I forgot the name.
Sure. In the meantime, let me show you something. Has a good example of the case study that we're talking about.
This is from a previous.
Yes, yes. I actually
I
like the
remember.
way he
Yeah,
represented it. This, for example, he is separating which part the image is from, like splash screen onboarding, then what these are, what these are. You get the idea. Like pointing out what is doing. That can be a good way to put it out in the case study. Like here, I have a very clear idea of what the screen is because it's he's pointing out what the screen is doing, what is doing, and you are writing it anyway. Instead of writing it separately in one column versus another, write it as a call out. Point it out which part is doing what, like what this is doing. This kind of formatting will work much better. Uh, this is from Suti Iyer. Okay. We have good illustrators this time. Like all the three portfolios
yeah.
had good personal illustrations. This is cute. Perfect.
Yes. Mm.
Oh, nice. Did you look at the homepage, or where maybe you were looking into
Uh,
books that time?
yeah, I was looking at the books at the time.
It's no issue. Let me-
I kind of like the illustration again. It's better
Yeah.
to, I'll have the same feedback on this one. So it's better to have your own picture. It kind of creates a person. Even on the second section, you can have. It's not
Yeah,
like
yeah. It
upfront you
doesn't
have to
have to
show,
be the exactly. It doesn't have to be the first section having an
where you
illustration
kind of
that shows
introduce
your
yourself.
skill and your
There you
style.
can, yeah. Like I like the wave emoji and the hello. So it kind of creates like it kind of creates a different experience for somebody who's looking at your portfolio.
Yes, yes. And this I also like the touch here.
Yeah,
Crossing
I'm
out
not
Mumbai and then
yeah,
putting Pune. This is
yeah.
a good touch.
It basically says you are from Mumbai, but you're not currently in Mumbai or in Mumbai.
Yeah.
You may have like the some micro animation in the end when you reach the last project of your portfolio. The get in touch kind of pops up.
Yes. Yes.
Alright. So overall on the home page, it's very short and sweet home page. So try to talk about yourself more.
I think if you have a separate about us page, this is a place at least where you should have a photo. Like if
Yeah,
you have
if
a
you're going to
home
have
page, then I can understand that okay, you don't want to have your photo right in front. But if you have a separate about us page and even that doesn't have your photo, that's not ideal. This is the good place where you can have your photo without putting it on the home page.
yeah, try to talk about yourself more so it kind of gives more context to somebody who's going to hire you or who's going to review your portfolio.
Yes, exactly. The homepage is pretty very well done. I think
Yeah,
the homepage is very well done. Wouldn't change. I don't think I would change anything in here. There's it goes to everything. There's a specific style that's being maintained. The icons are custom illustrated. That's adding some personal touch. The colors are consistent. The homepage is perfect. About section, I feel it's way too short. Not compulsory that it doesn't have to be big necessarily, but having a photo here is almost compulsory because you haven't put it in your homepage. And this is a miss. Like having a photo here is a complete miss. This will also help you format this better because right now these sentences are quite long in terms of the width they are taking. But if you divide it into two columns and have your photo here, then that's an easy fix. I think the case study is pretty well done
Yeah,
is in terms of representation. So for the information structure in the case study by Aman and Azam and Saranya were also good, but the issue came up in the visual representation of it. In this case, this is another good example of doing the visual representation right. It's starting out all with all the necessary
yeah, but
details.
I think text setting needs to be adjusted more. It's kind of line spacing is not enough for somebody to read it. It becomes too overcrowded. It feels like over information, like a lot of information is being discussed.
Hmm.
There is less of information without line spacing. It feels like there is a lot of information. When you have a lot of line spacing or breathing in the space, it becomes easier for someone to read.
Yeah, that is true.
That is something needs to be
That is
fixed
true.
in the.
Condensed line spacing works well in case of headings because that adds a visual style.
Yeah.
But in kind of paragraphs and overall bodies, a little more spacing is ideal. That's true.
So it's better to use 150%, 1.5x of your font size as your line spacing. It kind of gives you
Hmm.
enough breathing space to read. Like if you're using font size 12, use 18 as your line spacing. It kind of gives you more breathable space.
Yes, yes. But I like the way the case study is structured. The font, other than the line spacing, that is a valid point from Manu.
And even for your titles, they are like it looks like disabled or faded out. So try to highlight your titles as well. But I like the structure how you're going. But it's kind of giving two column structure with a lot of empty spaces. It becomes little disconnected towards your information. So try to have your title on top of his content only. Not not recommended to use this two column layout.
The two column layout can work, but you need to group them a little better. What I
Yeah,
mean by that is,
grouping
let's say this was
information.
the only text that was in between the two images. Then it's very obvious that these two are connected. But
Yeah,
if I'm looking
when
at
you have a lot
like
of
this,
more.
then yeah, then it might feel like these are one group and these are one. You can add some kind of line that groups them together. That's one way to do it. There are other ways as well, but yeah, the grouping is something you need to figure out a little. You can also increase the space between this one group versus the second group. That's also one way to do it. There are many different ways to do it, but yeah, the grouping is something uh, you need to look at, as Manu pointed out. A little nitpick: don't use lorem ipsum in the final image that you're putting out.
Yeah, if it
Just
is
put
your final
any
output of
text.
your work,
Yeah,
again, as I said earlier, try using ChatGPT for your content. If you're not good at writing, try using ChatGPT or AI tools which writes content. So it will
yeah, yeah,
kind
yeah.
of help.
Especially for this kind of filler text, these are just filler text. It's not you pointing out how good of a writer you are. Things like that
Yeah.
can be easily, delegated to AI. You can even straight up look up what International Design Award is and put two lines from whatever text comes up onto internet. But I like the structure overall.
So here again, I have a different comment. Don't have this comparison kind of layout thing. You're going to show some design, show full view of the one particular page or one particular design on screen. So it becomes more easy for somebody to evaluate. When you have this kind of comparison, try to compare your both designs and see the consistency in your design. So it becomes if you're not that good enough or like, yeah,
No,
it's
I
better
don't
to
think
have.
this is. I don't think these are comparisons. I feel they are two screens of the same project,
Yeah, yeah.
not before and after. It's just I think she's trying to utilize the space better so that more can be filled in less space. I feel
Yeah.
that is the goal here. I
Can you
kind of
scroll little up? I think we
yep.
are on the same section. In this section, can you scroll little down?
Oh,
So over here, what I'm trying to say is you have this title, and then you have this line over here. It kind of acts as a line separator. If you see here, like your section has this color as your background, and then you have some linear
uh,
gradient here, and then the flow of the structure is not clear. So when you're trying to make some section, you make it more obvious or make it little more distinctive. Like it kind of becomes an issue when when these things are comparable. That's what I was trying to say. And then don't have this much of empty space where you put for if you have something put it like don't have this kind of empty space. So, and then this is kind of getting lost in between your images.
Yes. Ah, those are good
Don't
pointers.
use this much rounded edges, so it kind of uh, deviates the markup structure. And it is not recommended to use this much rounded corners on a markup design. It won't give you a full feel of a you're being at a device or something. This is something I like. Key takeaways from your design. So it kind of tells you like upfront tells that you're learning something in project. It's not like directly doing jumping into the project and design. Having key takeaways and what you worked on things will help. And another tip is right now what I'm saying is the final output. But if you're hired for an interview, don't just show the final output, show the iteration process. This is something that when I start doing it, people might come up with this layout. There will be a lot of iteration. We will change something. We'll get some feedback. So try to have collect all those things and then show it in the interview. So it kind of explains your design process to someone who is interviewing you. Mm, apart from that, I don't have any other feedback on the page. It becomes too long of a scroll. That is something I would say.
I think that's fine for a case study. Uh,
Yeah,
like if someone doesn't want to go through the entire case study, they don't have to.
yeah. So try to research your key takeaways on the top only. So it becomes easy. Like it kind of enables the viewer to go through the overall project.
Yeah,
Like
that's
it kind of like the gradient is in over here, the burn gradient trend. Like again, don't use multiple fonts and multiple font weights on one section. It becomes a little hard to read. Yeah, the overall design looks like nice, except your icon styling on this design. And here everything is black and white, and it can have color logos also, and everything is kind of merging with the background, so it's little hard to recognize the logos as well.
that's true. Uh, 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 I think the font combining two different typefaces and two different fonts in a single line can work, but what's hurting here is that the difference in weight
Font
is way too
weightage,
much.
yeah,
Yeah, the weight is way too different. If you were, I'm assuming the serif font with its italics doesn't have a higher weight. In that case, it use a lighter weight of the sans serif font so that they are close enough, not exactly similar but a bit close, because what's happening is you are using the serif font in its italics to highlight thing, but since it is much lighter in weight than the sans serif font, the sans serif text is getting highlighted, which I feel is not the goal here. So this tiny things kind of matters, and the icon style for this specific project is not matching with the rest of the style,
yeah,
but
it
it
becomes
is a
very
tiny
flat.
things.
Like I kind of like that gradient trend which is going. You try to use like the trendy design, but this is not looking nice or matching with your overall design style. Like this, everything is bold and clean, and your icons are having a lot of details in that, so it is not matching with your style. And then you try using some micro interaction over here. Yeah, and most important thing is don't use your text paragraph with to end to end. Like try to use 60% of your artboard or any of the device which you're using, so it becomes more readable. When you have this kind of end to end design, it becomes very long thing to use it to read. Like they have to start from here and then they have to go read all the way to end of the screen. which is not recommended. So try to use 60 to 70% of your screen with as your text paragraph with. I don't have any other things. Yeah, let's see. Everything is there. I like how you have added your skills, tools. I don't think this is done on any Word document or anything. I think it's done on Illustrator or Figma. Try to use Word document. It becomes more easier for the ATS system to read. Like if you use this, the ATS system does not read. Like to test your resume score, you can use this site where it becomes easier to test your resume.
While this is loading, we should have some closing thoughts as
Yeah,
well because we are almost done with the time.
yeah. I think Sunny has made her resume some Word document or something. It kind of matches. You get a score of 76. Try to increase your score. It will help you get more interview calls. So it will give you detailed analysis as well.
This is a good
Yeah,
resource. Even
it
I'll
will
check
tell
it
you.
out to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. I have been using this like last few months. I'm on ChatGPT making my resume more ATS friendly. I think I'll show my resume as well. I'll find the file. And one thing which I noticed is in your resume, you're using the name Shruti underscore resume 24. Don't do like that. Use your name and then say which role you're applying for. Don't just say resume 24. There are some other tools which will help you make. And based on my research, ATS resumes are like the tool which they use most of the latex code tools, which is like Overleaf. And first, let me find the resume and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I think you can see my, yeah, this is my resume and I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. But to get the score, I had to do all those things.
Wait. Okay, I think we need to end. Let's end with two questions that
Yeah,
Shruti has. Okay. Yes. You can. It's not compulsory, but you can do it towards the end. If you have a live prototype that is available publicly, then you can consider doing it. It's a good way to end the case study. Don't do it early on because that can take away the focus and make the loading longer and stuff like that. But you can end it with that. And like as we pointed out earlier, make sure it's a prototype link, not the canvas link. Otherwise, it will give a very different impression. Uh, let's answer the.
I was giving like before saying,
Let's answer this one first.
yeah,
I think this is a good question. This
it's
is
a
a confusion a
valid
lot of people
point.
have.
Again, it depends on it varies from person to person. I would like as a designer, we are going to design for people for somebody else. So it's better to have that personal character, and you need to be people empathetic. So that's where I was trying to go for with the putting your profile picture, like your picture of your resume. So it kind of creates a personal connection. I don't become a people person biased. No, I don't think it will become a person biased based on how you look at it. And it's generally based on your skill set only you'll get hired. It's not how you look.
Yeah, I agree, and I let me add on that. The thing is
Yeah,
that it's how you put it. So,
yeah,
as a designer, you can put it in your stylistic way. That way, people will know who they are talking to without the whole focus being on how you look. Or you can put it in secondary pages where that's not the first thing they're seeing, but they're seeing it if they want to. Like you have an about us page, so that's a good way place where you can put it up. people have already gone through your homepage, they just want to know more, and now it's a good time to look, okay, by the way, this is the person you will be talking to. Look it at that angle. Or just like you have an illustration, which I think the first illustration is an representation of yourself, so look at your photo in a similar way. You can stylize it a bit, add a little personal touch. It's not about how you look, it's just about building trust. That's the way you would look at.
Yeah.
And let's uh, we are almost there, so let's just end on this question. uh, we most probably would. The portfolio is fine. It's
Yeah,
ticks
you
most
can
of the
follow most of
boxes.
the
Yeah,
product is in structure in a layout. So it's not that you won't be not selected. I will be selected.